Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve, where today we're in Demon's Souls, and I kind of wanted to show what I was goofing around with and what is possible with just Reshade, because we are limited with Demon's Souls as far as like how many visual upgrades you can make to it, since you can't upscale the textures really without basically just crashing the game. And it won't load, but you can do some really cool things through Reshade alone, which right here we actually have RTGI that we're actually using, which is the same RTGI shader I was showing off with Mass Effect in the last video, and then Dark Souls 2 before that. Now this shader cannot actually be posted to Nexus. I learned this. I guess they changed their policy on that at some point, and so the Mass Effect one, that's why you won't be able to find it when you click on it. And so I'll be hosting that on my Patreon for free, actually. So it's not for like paid members. There'll just be a post where anybody who joins the Patreon for free, they'll just be the preset files that you can download. So that way you can still have the RTGI, but you don't have to like pay anything. I don't paywall that behind Patreon. Now, admittedly, the shader is still a paid shader through Marty's mods, Marty McFly. But a really cool thing here is if we turn it off and on, you can see that it's actually responding to the fog wall here. And decently realistic too. You actually get the bounce lighting, and then it goes underneath the enemy that I've so unceremoniously killed, and just a lot of fun to play with. But the mods beyond that, I'm using there's a mod that basically tones down soul form. So as you can see, my player character here is in soul form, but it's not nearly as glowy and wispy as it normally is, because that was actually affecting the RTGI. It was getting confused with all the light that was coming off the player. It was like, oh my god. So we still have the player lantern active. As you can see, there is light beneath my character. And if we turn that off and on, you can see how the RTGI actually bounces that onto the scene a little bit. You get it onto the player's foot. You can actually see it update with light on the player's foot, and it kind of hits the environment a little bit as well. So it kind of helps the illumination from the player lantern. So that was one mod I did. I can link that below because it's really nice. I actually don't like the way Soulform looks so different. So here you still get a little bit of like wispiness on your character, but it's not like way over the top. And then beyond that, I also downloaded a UI mask. So it's basically a texture that masks the user interface from any RTGI or any of your shaders, basically. And as you can see here, you basically have the UI mask bottom, UI mask top, and I'll link that below too. It's basically just a texture file that goes in your Reshade shaders texture folder, and then it just applies the UI masking. So that way it doesn't affect that. There's other ways to, of course, avoid the UI with reshade effects. There's rest. It's a shader toggler, so you can actually do it that way too. But the UI mask, I didn't know there'd be it's super recent mod too. Someone just put up a UI mask, and it's pretty useful. So I'll link that below as well. And I think I actually have like my dynamic shadow mod on as well. I didn't mean to, but I believe I actually do. So the one thing you'll see, the one problem with Reshade currently, or RTGI specifically, is the actual sky. With how bright the skies are in Demon's Souls specifically, the RTGI is responding to that too much. And so I might actually have to do a tweak to just tone down the sky bloom effect here just a bit, because it's basically like that fake HDR. So that if you look at it, it's fine. If you don't, then it brightens up the sky a lot. So that auto adaption type thing, if I turn that off, that should fix the RTGI just responding to it too strong. But this is really the party trick, is being able to get that really awesome illumination. Now, of course, we can mess around with like the amount that it bounces, because you can go up to 10. You could do 2.5 to where now it's a lot less, but it's still bouncing some light. I tend to settle around 5 usually. And you can also manage the how much ambient occlusion is added as well. And so you can kind of play around with it. kind of modular there. You can play around, but that's generally what I do with RTGI all the time, is balance the illumination versus the shadowing versus, and each game handles it differently. Some games like it, some games absolutely don't. Beyond that, I'm also using the Immerse Pro Exposure Fusion, which is part of the Pro shaders, which includes RTGI. So that's the $5 a month you pay for the Marty McFly shaders. And Exposure Fusion is part of it, because what it does is it actually brings out some visibility in the dark regions without affecting the highlights too much. It's actually a really good sort of like tone mapping method that I found to be the most intelligent thus far. And that's kind of the difference you'll see between here's with everything off and then with it on. It's not a huge difference. It depends on where you're looking, of course. So RTGI is going to pick up on that illumination a lot. But you get basically better visibility in all the dark regions, because I thought Demon's Souls always kind of had that PS3 style thing where like they just crushed the blacks, which, you know, don't get me wrong, I like crushed blacks, I do. But I found it to be a little extreme, a little bit. So here, one thing you'll notice about the RTGI, so here's with it off, and then we turn it on, you'll notice the kind of the crevices or the edge among the walls here get the biggest benefit. It just kind of balances out the light a little bit. And I generally get to maintain 60 FPS while running all of these. Actually, beyond that, I'm also running some other ones too. You'll see the sky is still bouncing too much light there, but that I can fix through actual param tweaks myself, because it's very similar to Dark Souls 1 in that way, so I should be able to turn off some of the excessive brightness in that case. But I actually am using also Vort Motion here, which handles the TAA. So you actually get some temporal anti-aliasing, where by default Demon's Souls, of course, had really bad FXAA, or even MLAA, I can't remember, but I know with DS1 and DS2 they went FXAA, obviously all the way actually to DS2 Bloodborne. It was only until Sekiro that they went with TAA. But here you can actually put in TAA, you can turn off anti-aliasing in RPCS3, like the settings for the game. And so I'm actually handling the TAA here. But one thing I'm doing is in the Vort Motion settings, you can actually tell it to use the motion vectors from Immerse Launchpad. So the Immerse Launchpad is basically the default thing you have to have enabled when you're using like the Immerse Pro shaders, because that's handling the motion vectors, which is what allows the RTGI to function and not ghost everywhere. So if we like turn off the Immerse Launchpad, it should cause basically you'll see there's ghosting on the illumination because it's not able to read the actual scene, and the motion vectors create where the light should be and where it shouldn't be. And so you turn it back on and now it's able to read the scene. And so yeah, those motion vectors are really awesome. So basically because you don't want to double up on motion vectors, where Vort Motion, which I almost said Mort Votion, would be creating its own, plus Immerse Launchpad. So, but yeah, it honestly handles the game pretty well. Now, of course, you'll see a rough edge here on the geometry, where it's of course, that's actually noticeable with it on or off. But you'll notice the light bouncing from this torch ends up actually looking much more realistic with RTGI on. But yeah, look at these low-res textures, and they also aren't using any normal mapping. There's just a ton of surfaces in Demon's Souls that have absolutely no normal map at all, no specular map, nothing. They literally just have an albedo texture, a diffuse texture. It's brutal. And that would be one thing I'd love to be able to add, but unfortunately it's so restrictive on memory that's why we're doing all of this through Reshade, because the game doesn't really know that that's happening. But there is a limitation in the Demon's Souls engine that unfortunately no one has developed a binary patch, because it's basically hex editing. So whoever is really good at hex editing, because that's how they made the other patches, like to unlock 60 FPS, right? So I'm hoping there's someone out there who's just really nice enough that would want to create a patch. Now that doesn't technically fix the situation, because the way that RPCS3 renders higher resolutions, like I'm running at 1440p here, But what it's actually doing is still natively internally rendering at 720p, which is what the game actually ran at. And then it's using Fidelity FX Super Resolution 1.0, so not 2.0. 1.0 is the spatial upscaler. 2.0 is whenever they went for temporal. So it's not nearly as good of upscaling, but it was the only kind that they could do because our PCS3 itself couldn't create motion vectors in all the different games. And that's what you need for FSR2 or DLSS or any of these, just TAA in general. And so they had to go with a spatial upscaler, and it's a pretty good one. Like, it's better than like if you're doing bicubic or bilinear, or like, it's pretty decent. But yeah, you're not getting like native higher rendering resolutions like you do in the PS2 emulator. Now, why is that? I don't know. I would assume the way that the PS3 handles its rendering was just way more complex, and so they couldn't, it just wasn't feasible to actually legit change the internal resolution. But basically you could just handle the upscaling of it better, is my layman sort of explanation. Also, you can see the barrels here are floating, which is a FromSoft classic. But of course, you can see once we turn on the RTGI and the exposure fusion, we just get a nice little boost to scene clarity, which realistically you could just do through tone mapping. So this is probably a really stupid way to do it. But I kind of like the bouncing of light that you get on certain things. But overall, RTGI is not, I would say, not worth it almost ever. It's basically if you just have performance to lose. Like the fact that I still get to play at 60 FPS and have some of these little bonuses is nice. And I'm really just goofing around here. That's what these RTGI presets will be on my Patreon for free, because I'm just like, okay, you guys can have it, play around with them. They'll all be named by the games that they work with. Right now, I think I have Sleeping Dogs, Dark Souls 2, Half-Life 2, Mass Effect, and I think Fallout 3. I could do Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. Like, I basically could just add RTGI presets for almost every game. Almost every game. Because, except for the games that already have like a good RT implementation, there's no reason to then. But Elden Ring, I could do. Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, of course. But that is going to be separate from my Bloodborne mod, because it has to be, since it's a paid shader. So that's fine. It'll just be on my Patreon for free. If you want to sign up for that, there's a link down below, but it costs nothing. I have not posted the RTGI presets just yet. I was going to put them in like one zip file, because they're just INI files, and you drop them in the game folder, and then you tell Reshade to use it. Because basically in your Reshade menu, you can see up here, this is where you actually choose the INI file. And right now it's set on BBTAA, which was from my Bloodborne mod. And I just completely altered it, so it doesn't really share much in common with that anymore. But yeah, so if you want to go join that, you'll get a notification when it posts on my Patreon. And then I plan to update it pretty often. Oh man, I've never had him fly that far. Okay, actually, hey, can you chill out for a second? Can I kill this guy? Okay, so this time I didn't kick him off, so that's good. Whoop, okay, frames dropped a little bit there. It's a little variable, but oh my god. I just love the original version of Demon's Souls, and the remake, frankly. I think the remake, which will come to PC, it has to come to PC. They told us that it was coming to PC at first, then they reneged on it, and we're like, oh, that was an error, which I don't buy for a fucking second. I totally think it was a thing, and why it's taking so long, no idea. No idea. If they're having Bluepoint do it in-house, that could explain it, as I don't think they've ever done a PC port. And we've also haven't heard anything from Bluepoint in quite a while, so we're kind of, I mean, obviously I would prefer they were working on like a Bloodborne remake than, porting this to PC. They should leave that for Nixxes or, Nixxes, frankly, because Sony owns Nixxes, and so that would be the one to actually do the PC port. They've done most of the PlayStation PC ports, so that would certainly be my expectation. Yeah, you get a little bit of bounce of light. That's the thing. If I go back to the, let's cancel out of that. I do also have a depth of field. I'm using the Quint depth of field, which is actually a free shader. But it's kind of cool. You can actually get like close to the camera and it will do a bokeh depth of field automatically with autofocus. And then of course when you go out of it, it automatically adapts back. But it does have a farther depth of field that it activates. Now of course depth of field is in Demon Souls, but it's a lot easier to tweak this one universally than it is to go in and tweak the depth of field settings for every single area, right? That is not nearly as fun. But man, so many of these surfaces would benefit from normal maps. It's just, I wish I could do it. I might be able to do it to a couple surfaces, because it also has to do with buffer layouts and how the shaders were by default. A lot of the surfaces were obviously not set up to function with that. You will see that the RTGI does pick up on the fire illumination. Oh, man. I swear the spear guys are my most hated. I'm very bad at killing them. Oh my god, did I kill him? I absolutely demolished him. Oh my god, shit. Yeah, luckily in this game you can basically backstab every single enemy. Also, this is me yapping about Demon Souls a little bit. Yeah, I just like the boost to illumination you're getting here. Like, it's just a lot clearer. Of course, once again, you could do that through a tone map. But I would say this exposure fusion is really intelligent with how it does it. Interestingly, there's purple. I don't know why there's like purple on the side of this wall. Or like fuchsia? That's not RTGI, that's something being weird there. But yeah, just that nice little extra visibility in the darkness I think helps Demon Souls a lot without massively altering the look of it. If anything, I'd like to lean into the PS3 style of Demon Souls, like overly using bloom. They also would commonly use like the piss filter. But yeah, you can see here, it's just a small difference. Really is mostly a tone mapping thing at this point, so I'm probably just going overboard for fun. But it is a pretty clean image with TAA. We're also using the AMD contrast adaptive sharpening on top, I found that to be the best type of like sharpening through Reshade, because it's very intelligent with where it adds sharpening, and then it leaves other things alone that it feels doesn't need sharpening. You can also see how oh my god, okay, fuck off. I would say Demon Souls has really aged well though. I think the material handling on the armor specifically just looks so fucking good. Like, I just wish I could put normal maps on some of the other surfaces. I should try that on at least one. I'll definitely make a video about that. Like, this floor here is actually found in the painted world of Ariamis in DS1, this little cobble floor. But of course it got a normal map in Dark Souls 1, and it did not get a normal map here. But I should be able to add a normal map, change the MTD setting on it, and then if I put it through Blender Soulstruct, that fantastic program I've used for a lot of DS1 modding, presumably it should be able to change the buffer layouts for me to add a normal map. But the problem is, if the normal map isn't already in the texture files, then I'm using up more video memory, and I have very little space to do that. Now, what I could do is use a very low resolution normal map that is as small as possible, but still adds, because I guess that's true. This normal map would probably be maybe 512 by 512 or 256 by 256. So the actual normal map will be very small in file size. I should, maybe that'll be the next thing I kind of goof with, because adding normal maps to Demon Souls would be huge. Because these floors, all these stone and brick things are just completely and utterly flat. Like, look how flat this is. It's not using any sort of technique to make it look like there's depth, because there's just no normal mapping. But how awesome it would be, because they had some normal maps in Demon Souls, but man, there were not a lot. That continued on into Dark Souls 1, the Prepare to Die edition. It did not have a lot of normal maps either. It had more than Demon Souls, but way less than everything else. Okay, can I make it through this? I think I can. Spin move. Okay, Dragon I feel like is going to get pissy. Yes. Oh god, he's very pissy. Oh my god, look, check this out. We did it. We done it. I love the little cutscenes for any time you do something, and Demon Souls always had a good number of those. God, like, look at that asset quality. It's brutal. But man, like they are using normal mapping on like some of these bricks here. Also, I forgot to change the depth of field scaling in RPCS3 correctly to where depth of field doesn't look awful. Because by default, it looks pretty terrible when you run it through RPCS3. Okay, we're just going to block you guys. I'm just going to run through because I am not in the mood for... Okay. I'm stressed. I'm very stressed. Okay, we're just going to... Oh no, actually this is very bad. Okay, nope. Never mind, I got past. I was not even worried. Okay, let's just go out here for a little break. Okay, I got throwing knife, crescent, nice, crescent wrench, nice. Are they following me? Oh fuck, they absolutely did. Man, Demon Souls is so brutal in like this first level because, you know, you can't level up. There's no, like, I mean, there are shortcuts, of course, by the towers, but still they are just incredibly long run backs at this early point. Oh my god, clutch. Absolute. Okay, this is kind of a mess, guys, just so you know. Okay, killed them. Oh my god, I think I'm gonna do it. Oh my god, I'm using the narrow doorway technique. Insane. We've never seen gameplay like this. He's cracked out of his mind, chat. Also, yes, I'm keeping this in the video, for sure. It's an excuse for me to talk about Demon Souls because I love it. Well, okay, that was probably not worth the time it took to do that. Okay. Hey, drop some upgrade mats. Okay, maybe not. Also, if you've made it this long in the video, which if you haven't, I don't blame you, I will be streaming tomorrow with my brother, Edward, or Ed, as we generally call him. We'll be playing Dark Souls 1, unless I decide to play something else more difficult. Dark Souls Remastered mod that I worked on forever. We'll be playing that. Maybe drinking, maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I could bundle it into a 25,000 sub celebration type thing. I don't know if you guys would want that, or I could make that a separate thing. I'm not really sure. See, the thing is, that's what got Demon Souls on the brain, because Demon Souls I find more difficult than Dark Souls 1, because I've played Dark Souls 1 so many times. But Demon Souls is very punishing, and there's a lot of areas that will just get me fucking killed, and a lot of the bosses are super easy in Demon Souls, of course, but there's enough that make it difficult, like the Swamp of Sorrows, Jesus Christ, Flame Lurker I find pretty difficult. The Man-Eater fight I find pretty difficult. Yeah, I don't like how the fog walls look. I think that's probably more of an RPCS3 thing. But you can see there's a big bounce of light that we're getting from the fog wall, which is pretty sick. Can I first try Phalanx? Probably. And then I'll end the video. Because I got 10 firebombs, so I feel pretty good about that. I'm feeling froggy. They're probably gonna hit me. Oh shit. Okay, well don't, you know. If you could throw your fucking firebomb like 2 seconds faster, that'd be fucking great, big dog. Okay, see now we're cooking. Oh my god, see now we're absolutely okay. Well now we're out of our fun zone here. Fun zone, is that the right word? Probably not. Oh shit. Okay, that's risky, chat. That's risky. Because then I'll just slice the shit out of them after this. Oh shit, I went the wrong way. No, oh, don't want to go. Oh, fuck. Okay, fuck. Oh god, I'm actually out of healing. This is probably a bad idea. Oh shit, nice. Okay. Alright. Okay, chill. Hey, everybody chill. Okay. This is bad, chat. This is bad. Okay, I'm behind a big pillar. Do I have... Oh, I have half moon, late moon. Sick. Okay, we're behind the pillar. We're behind the pillar, chat. Oh, wait. He healed? Well, I don't remember that. I don't remember him healing. That seems rude. Okay, chat, this might be bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm washed. Am I washed? Very much likely. Oh my god. Okay, well, I don't have... Wait, I might still have the turpentine, actually. I don't remember if I picked up the turpentine. I love that it's called turpentine, by the way. I like saying the word. Next seal binding, Old Spice. Nope, don't have the turpentine. Don't have the turpentine. Okay, we gotta go two-hand. We gotta go two-hand. Okay. Okay, we're cracked out of our mind. Okay, alright. This might be a little bit more stressful than I thought it was gonna be. I didn't plan on this character much. Okay, I'm shredding. I'm shredding. Oh my god. Alright. Oh, fuck. Okay, get out. Get out. Get out. Alright, get out. Alright, we got a late moon. We got 2 late moon. We're just... Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Okay. Hey, can you guys stop sucking up to your fucking boss here? Oh my god. Alright. Let's suck down a late moon. Suck down a late moon. Okay. Got him. I still got it. I still got it. Didn't need the turpentine. Makes it a lot easier if you have the turpentine. The demon was destroyed, absolutely. And it's beyond my imagination. No doubt. And then we'll play the Nexus cutscene, which will be sick as hell. Yeah, one other thing to mess around with, actually, while I'm here, because I would like to balance the bounce lighting, definitely to be a lot greater. Yeah, you can also mess with the Z thickness, and that actually makes the RTGI bounce a lot more, because it's basing it on... Problem is, it then ends up adding a lot of like ambient occlusion to your character. Which then I can tone down through the ambient occlusion thing. But you can also scale the Z thickness and basically watch it as it goes around your character. And if you go low enough... Oh, actually it's not very noticeable. Okay. Oh, effects are disabled. I'm an idiot. Oops. Oopsie. So then you can see as I scale it down, you just basically don't want the illumination to be covering the character. Or not the illumination, but the shadowing. So you try and boost that a bit. Because I actually like when it starts picking up. Yeah, so here you get an actual bigger boost now to the illumination that would be coming from that torch. Rather than just tone mapping, it is actually doing a bit more work. So it's all about balancing so many different things to get it to look. And this is even without the... this is a fun one. This is just for funsies. You can turn on the specular, and you can see how it actually adds RT reflections. It's so funny. I actually don't know where it's pulling that top one from. What the fuck? Oh, it's pulling it from the UI. That's hilarious. It's looking at the UI. That's great. Well, okay, I didn't mask that, so we'll turn that back off. Because, yeah, I found that that does not work well in this game. It works better in any game that's, like, full of metallic shit. But here, it is not great. But, yeah, so that's a random look at applying Reshade-related things to Demon Souls. And the fact that I'll be putting them on my Patreon for free. You can click on the link down below and just... all you have to do is, I think you can join with like Google, and yeah, you just join as a free account, and there should be a post soon, within the next day, that has the first batch of like presets, which within that post will link to the RTGI shader you actually have to also pay for. So that's why I don't want to put it like paywall behind anything, because you still have to buy like an RTGI shader. Now, admittedly, you buy that shader once, and you just can keep that on your computer. So it's not like you have to stay subscribed to the Marty McFly guy. It's only if you want to keep getting updates. But usually what I do is just download the current one and then resubscribe later if he updates it, because it doesn't get updated that often. So I don't think you should stay subscribed forever, certainly, unless you have the money and you don't care. I tend to get the shader and then I'll come back when it gets updated. That's kind of how I function with it. But yeah, anywho, yeah, let's play the cool You can see it does affect the cutscenes. Oh, so it's actually still using the UI mask. That's interesting. That's true. It's using that shader. So actually in cutscenes, the UI mask is not good. So that means I'll have to do the UI masking a different way, which is fine. I can actually UI. There's reveal, there's rest. There's a lot of options for blocking the usage of that. So I'm kind of flipping it on and off for this. Yeah, you still get some bouncing of light. It's still very bloom heavy, so there's probably some like manual tweaks I could do to tone down some of it. Yeah, look at that. That's a little bit too much, but yeah, you can see here it's bouncing the light a little too much. So I still have to tweak the, this is where it basically is taking a little bit too much information off the player lantern to where it's creating like too bright at the bottom. So that's something that you just have to balance, because here it's too extreme. But this is an easy param tweak where I could basically go in and just tune down the player lantern a tad bit, so it just isn't as bright, essentially. But I like the bouncing that's happening here. The bouncing from the RTGI is fantastic, but unfortunately it's kind of goofy, and so I just would have to make manual tweaks to the player lantern, which is just a point light setting in the params. So not too bad. But in the Nexus here, you can see it actually benefits a lot from the RTGI. So Stockpile Thomas, you can see how his feet are, like his character itself has hero lighting. And when we turn on the RTGI, it actually balances the scene out a lot and looks now more natural, like he's actually fitting into the scene, where before you could tell that the characters were rendered on a completely different layer, lighting layer, because even like this barrel that the blacksmith is standing next to looks so much better when we turn this on and get the RTGI, get the exposure fusion. It actually looks like an area that he fits in, and it's not perfect because the barrel still looks like it's sort of in a different area or different lighting layer, which is common for objects versus map pieces. But I'd argue it looks way better and way more natural. These are kind of the better examples of RTGI. And you can see even her little grippers get a little bounce of light, maybe a little bit too much. But you do, and then look at this blue light that comes off this guy. I love it. It's so cool. It just adds a dash of color, and it's just picking up automatically on the blue hue. And I think that actually looks awesome. That's my favorite thing of the RTGI, is you actually get this really cool. It's also like adding shadowing behind him. It's really cool. It's just fun stuff to play around with. It's kind of like the monkey neuron activating meme, which I've mentioned multiple times. You can even see here in this little box where the candle is. By default, it doesn't really have much illumination bouncing in that little, cube that it's in. But you turn on RTGI, it actually does a pretty good job of putting light in there, since that's where the light source is actually at. And so just fun to play around with. I got to yap about this for over 30 minutes. I love Demon's Souls, so part of it is just me yapping about it because I love this game. And it's like rough around the edges, but I really love. I truly love it. I think it's such a diamond in the rough kind of thing, because it does start out a little brutal. It was one of the harder starting games for me. That and Dark Souls 3. I think Dark Souls 3 with the High Wall of Lothric, they're pretty horny, and like, it's like, damn, dog, okay, we got Lothric Knights, we got shit. But Demon's Souls was similar, where I just kept dying, because I just was like, oh my god, I don't have any health, and like, oh my god, my health is half, and I hadn't gotten the Cling Ring yet, and I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck is happening? And then once I understood it, I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this video. What do you think about Demon's Souls? Do you like the remake? Do you not like the remake? Let's not make it into like a whole argument thing, because I think both are cool. Oh, his hair just disappeared. Oh, they compiled shaders for his hair. That's cool. Yeah, look at this. You get so much more visibility in this area. Yeah, it's actually bouncing a light here, because by default, he's standing and like rendered in his own lighting layer completely, because it's just hero lighting. Yeah, you can see here it takes up a little bit too much from the lights in the area, but I would still argue it's way more realistic in many cases, like this one. Yeah, we get some nice light bounces on her little chest. Not her chest, the chest that's near her. Calm down, chat. Pretty cool. Fun to play around with. You can see it bounces too much on the player's feet here, so I just had to handle that on the player lantern. But anyway, I have yapped long enough. Please go play Demon Souls. It's very fun. You can play it on RPCS3, 4K 60. Like, it's not hard to run it. It's more of a CPU thing than GPU. It's very light on the GPU. But it holds up really well, I think. And also play it on PS3. That's fun. We sometimes still go back to play it on PS3 just for the original experience at 30 FPS, sub 30. I think is always fun to revisit, So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.